I was 23 years old, staring at my bank account with $1,200 to my name. My friends were planning another weekend trip that would cost me $400 minimum. My car was making sounds I couldn't afford to fix. I was still living with my parents. And I had just watched some guy my age on Instagram posing in front of a Lamborghini. For days I couldn't shake one question. Is it actually possible to become a millionaire before 30 without scamming anyone, without selling your soul, and without getting lucky? This is the honest answer. I started where everyone starts. Google, YouTube, Reddit threads at 2 a.m., and there was one concept that kept showing up everywhere: an interest. I sat down one night with a calculator and ran the numbers. If I invested $500 a month starting at 23, with an average 8% annual return, I would hit $1 million around age 57. 57 years old. I closed the calculator. That wasn't the answer I was looking for, so I tried $1,000 a month. The million appeared around age 47, still too long. And with my $2,800 monthly salary, I couldn't invest much more than that anyway. That's when I understood something that changed everything. Investing alone wasn't going to get me there fast enough. I needed to earn more. A lot more. So I went back to YouTube, dropshipping, day trading, print on demand, Amazon FBA, selling courses online. 3 hours later, I had 14 browser tabs open, a notes app full of half-baked ideas, and a headache that wouldn't quit. And then one video stopped me cold. One sentence. Stop looking for the perfect business model. Find a real problem people are already paying to solve, then solve it better. That's it. I started writing down problems. What do people complain about? What would they pay someone else to handle? I filled 2 pages and crossed out everything. Nothing felt right. Nothing felt like mine. Not yet. I didn't have the business idea yet. But I realized I could start one thing immediately: investing. I spent a week researching. Index funds, ETFs, long-term passive investing. The math was undeniable, even if the timeline felt slow. I opened an account. I set up an automatic transfer. $1,000 on the first of every month. Gone before I could touch it. On a $2,800 salary that left me $1,800 for everything else. Rent to my parents, food, gas, car insurance, life. I hit confirm before fear talked me out of it. My friends thought I had lost my mind. You're 23. You're supposed to enjoy your life right now. What's the point of saving if you're miserable? I smiled and didn't argue. I knew something they didn't yet. A few weeks later, I was at a family dinner. My uncle was complaining about something he needed done for his small business. Something he had been putting off for months because he didn't know how to do it and didn't have time to figure it out. I looked at him and thought 2 things simultaneously. I know how to do that. And people would pay someone to handle this for them. That night, I created a profile on a freelance platform. It took longer than expected because I didn't know how to describe what I was offering or what to charge. Too cheap, and clients don't take you seriously. Too expensive, and nobody hires an unknown. I picked a number. I had no idea if it was right. I posted the listing, and I waited. 1 week. Nothing. I checked the profile 4 times a day, rewrote the description, changed the photo, adjusted the pricing. 2 weeks. Still nothing. I started thinking I had read the situation wrong. Maybe this wasn't a real problem. Maybe I wasn't the right person to solve it. Maybe my friends were right. And then the first client appeared. Small project, low budget, not glamorous, but real. I delivered 3 days early. I asked for feedback. I fixed everything they mentioned without being asked twice. The review they left wasn't long, but I read it probably 10 times. Because it confirmed the only thing that actually mattered at that point. Someone had paid real money for something I built. The problem was real. The solution worked. More clients came. Then more. I was working nights and weekends on top of my regular job. The money was small at first, but the reviews kept stacking. And reviews brought better clients. And better clients gave me the confidence to raise my prices. And higher prices attracted clients who valued the work more. The flywheel had started moving. By the end of year 2, I had $11,400 invested and was bringing in $4,200 a month between my salary and freelance income. It was time to move faster. I made 2 decisions that changed everything. First, I raised my automatic investment to $1,400 a month. It still hurt, but it hurt less because the money wasn't only coming from my salary anymore. Second, I hired another freelancer to work under me. I paid them less than I charged clients and kept the margin. It felt strange at first, managing another person's work, taking responsibility for their output, redoing things that didn't meet the standard, apologizing to clients when something slipped, but I learned faster than I expected. I built a basic website, nothing impressive, but functional. I started posting content related to what I offered. The first post got maybe 6 views, probably 4 of them were me checking. I kept posting anyway. By 25, I had $27,000 invested. Monthly income was up to $5,500 between everything. Clients were coming in faster than I could handle alone. The website was showing up in searches. The content I had been posting for months was slowly building an audience that turned into leads. I raised my prices again. People kept paying. And then I did the thing I had been avoiding for months because it terrified me. I registered a real company. I hired 2 people on fixed monthly salaries. I stopped being a freelancer with help and became something that looked more like an actual business. And then I made the decision that scared me more than any other. I quit my job. Not impulsively. I had analyzed it for weeks. The hours I was giving to an employer for a fixed salary were worth more invested in my own business. The numbers said I could do it. So I did it. I was still living with my parents, still driving the car with the weird noise, still living on $1,800 a month personally. Everything else went back into the business or into the investment account. This was the year I almost broke. Not financially, mentally. I had $108,000 invested. The business was growing faster than I had planned. And I was still living with my parents, driving the same broken car, saying no to every trip, every dinner, every spontaneous plan my friends made. One night we went out and they ordered round after round. I ordered water. One of my friends looked at me and said it loud enough for everyone to hear. "Dude, are you actually broke right now?" Everyone laughed. I smiled. I didn't say a word, because I had more money saved than everyone at that table combined. And I knew something none of them knew yet. The sacrifice had an end date. They just didn't know what I was building toward. I repeated something to myself that night on the drive home. I live on less today, so I never have to think about money again. Then I went home and checked the business numbers for the month. Revenue was up again. By 27, the business had reached a level I hadn't fully planned for. After expenses, salaries, and taxes, I was personally clearing over $22,000 a month. $22,000 a month. And I was still living with my parents. Still driving the car with the noise. Still living on $1,800 personally. From the outside, it looked insane. From the inside, it sometimes felt insane too. There were nights I opened my bank app and stared at the numbers and thought about everything I could buy tomorrow without it changing anything meaningful. A new car. My own apartment in a good neighborhood. First-class flights. Whatever my friends were doing that weekend. But I had a plan. I knew exactly what I needed to accumulate. I knew exactly when I was going to release the brake, so I kept going. But that year the business also hit its first real crisis. My 2 biggest clients left within the same month. Revenue dropped 40% overnight. I had employees depending on me. Fixed costs that didn't pause. For 3 weeks I didn't sleep well. I cut unnecessary expenses, worked twice as hard on new client acquisition, had conversations I didn't want to have. It was the closest I came to thinking the whole thing might collapse. It didn't. But those 3 weeks taught me more about running a business than the previous 3 years combined. By 28, the business had recovered and grown past where it was before the crisis. I had $847,000 invested. I could see the finish line. I increased my monthly investment to $6,000. I started looking for someone who could run the business without me being involved in daily decisions. Someone I could trust completely. Someone who would treat it like their own. It took 4 months to find the right person. I made the offer. They accepted. And for the first time in 5 years, I had days where nobody needed anything from me. No client, no employee, no decision that only I could make. I used that time to push the investment account as hard as I could. 8 months later, I opened my phone on a Tuesday morning. The number on the screen was $1,247,380. I read it twice, then a third time. I thought about the 23-year-old sitting with a compound interest calculator, thinking the million would come at 57. It had taken 6 years. I want to be honest about what that moment actually felt like. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't the rush I had imagined when I first started running those numbers. It was quieter than that. It felt more like relief, like putting down something heavy I had been carrying for a long time. The business was generating over $32,000 a month with someone else managing it. I had an investment portfolio that, at a conservative 4% withdrawal rate, could sustain my lifestyle indefinitely without me touching the principal. I didn't have to work anymore. I chose to keep going. But the difference between choosing to work and having to work is everything. Everything. I moved out of my parents' house, not into something flashy. Into a place I actually liked, that felt like mine. I bought a car that didn't make noises. Nothing exotic, just reliable and clean. I took my parents to dinner at a restaurant they had never been to. And I paid without calculating whether I could afford it. That sounds small. It wasn't small. My mom had wanted to go to that restaurant for 3 years. I bought her something she had been looking at for 2 years and always talked herself out of. That moment cost me less than 1 hour of what my business now generates. And it meant more than any revenue milestone I had ever hit. Here is the truth about what I learned. The money was never the point. The point was never having to choose between what you want and what you can afford. The point was time. Time that belongs completely to you. No alarm you didn't set yourself. No meeting you didn't choose to attend. No permission required from anyone. That is what 6 years of discipline actually bought. Not the number. The freedom behind the number. I'm not telling you this is easy. I'm not telling you the timeline will be the same for you. I'm telling you it is possible. Without luck, without shortcuts, without becoming someone you don't recognize. Drop a comment and tell me where you are right now, not where you want to be. where you actually are today. Because that's where it starts. Subscribe. Because the next video breaks down exactly how I found that first client and what I would do differently if I was starting from zero today.